My boss's son fired me during my wedding ceremony. Consider it my gift to you. But his father's call changed everything. I stood in front of the mirror in the bridal suite at the Plaza Hotel, my hands shaking as I adjusted my grandmother's pearl necklace. Outside, October rain drummed against the windows of our Manhattan venue, and I could hear the distant hum of traffic on Fifth Avenue. My wedding dress, a simple but elegant ivory silk that had taken me 6 months to save for, felt like armor against the world. In 3 hours, I would walk down the aisle to marry David, the love of my life. My phone buzzed on the marble countertop. I almost ignored it. This was supposed to be my day off from everything, especially work. But something made me glance at the screen. It was a text from Marcus Wellington III, the 28-year-old son of my boss at Wellington and Associates architecture firm. Sarah, effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Consider it my wedding gift to you. Now you can focus on being a housewife like you should be. Don't bother coming in Monday. I read the message 3 times before it sank in. My bouquet of white roses slipped from my trembling fingers and scattered across the hotel room floor. The sound of my heart pounding filled my ears, drowning out the soft jazz music playing in the background. Sarah? Honey, are you okay in there? My maid of honor, Jessica, knocked on the door. The photographer wants to get some shots before the ceremony. I couldn't answer. I couldn't breathe. After 7 years of working 60-hour weeks, of designing 3 major commercial projects that had brought in over $50 million to the firm, of being the only woman in a team of 12 architects, Marcus had fired me, on my wedding day, via text message. My phone rang. It was Dave. Baby, I just got the weirdest call from your office. Someone said you got fired? That can't be right, can it? My voice came out as a whisper. It's true. What, Sarah, what happened? I sank onto the velvet chair by the window, my wedding dress pooling around me, like spilled milk. Marcus fired me. Just now, by text. The silence on the other end stretched for what felt like hours. Finally, David spoke, his voice tight with anger. That spoiled brat. Sarah, we can fight this. We have lawyers, we have nothing, David. The words tasted bitter. New York is an at-will employment state. He can fire me for any reason or no reason at all. But even as I said it, something cold and calculating began to form in the back of my mind. Marcus had made a mistake. A big one. He thought he was destroying me, but he had just handed me the keys to his family's empire. The wedding proceeded in a blur. I smiled and said my vows, but my mind was elsewhere. During the reception, while guests danced to a live jazz band and ate the expensive catered dinner we had scraped together money for, I excused myself to the bathroom and made a phone call. Hello, Mr. Chen. This is Sarah Mitchell. Yes. From Wellington and Associates. I know it's Saturday evening, but I have a proposition for you. James Chen was the CEO of Pacific Development Group, the biggest real estate development company on the West Coast. For the past 8 months, I had been designing their new headquarters in Midtown Manhattan, a 40-story glass tower that would reshape the city skyline. The project was worth $200 million, and I was the lead architect. Sarah, congratulations on your wedding. What can I do for you? I took a deep breath, watching my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My makeup was still perfect, but my eyes had changed. They looked harder now, more determined. I'm calling to inform you that I'm no longer with Wellington and Associates. As of today, I wanted to give you a heads up that there might be some complications with the Meridian Tower project. There was a pause. What kind of complications? Well, I was the only one on the team who understood the structural requirements for your building's unique foundation needs. The soil conditions in that part of Manhattan are tricky, and the integration with the subway system below requires very specific engineering solutions. Solutions that I developed over months of research and testing. Another pause, longer this time. Sarah, are you saying that without you, the project could be in jeopardy? I'm not saying anything, Mr. Chen. I'm just informing you of my change in employment status, as is professional courtesy. I see. Well, I hope we can continue to work together in some capacity. That project is very important to us. I'm sure it is. The groundbreaking is scheduled for next month, isn't it? Yes. Sarah, if there's anything you need, any way we can help transition this situation. I smiled at my reflection. I'll keep that in mind. Enjoy your weekend, Mr. Chen. I hung up and returned to my wedding reception, but I felt different now, like a predator who had just caught the scent of prey. The real fun started the next morning. David and I were in our honeymoon suite, sharing coffee and bagels from a deli on Broadway, when my phone started ringing. It was 7 a.m. on a Sunday. The first call was from Tom Bradley, Wellington and Associates project manager. Sarah, thank God you answered. We have a problem. A big problem. Tom, I'm on my honeymoon. And also, I don't work for Wellington anymore. Remember? Sarah, please. Marcus made a mistake. We need you back. What kind of mistake? Tom's voice was strained. The Meridian Tower project. The city inspector is asking questions about the foundation specs, and none of us can find your calculations. Marcus is freaking out. I sipped my coffee slowly. Did you check the company server? That's the thing. Marcus deleted your access yesterday, and somehow your project files got corrupted in the process. We can't open any of them. I had seen this coming. Marcus was impulsive and technically incompetent. Of course he would have messed up the file transfer. I'm sorry, Tom. That sounds like a Wellington and Associates problem. Sarah, you don't understand. If we can't provide those calculations to the city by Tuesday, they'll halt the project. We could lose the contract. And that's a $200 million contract, Sarah. The biggest in the firm's history. Without it, we might have to lay off half the staff. I looked out the window at Central Park, where joggers were making their morning rounds despite the light drizzle. I'm sorry to hear that, Tom. But I have to go. I'm enjoying my honeymoon. The calls kept coming. Every hour, someone else from the firm contacted me. First Tom, then other architects, then the office manager, then Marcus himself. Sarah, you need to come in Monday and fix this mess. Marcus said, when he finally called that afternoon. His voice had none of the smug confidence from yesterday's text. Fix what mess, Marcus? You know what mess? The Meridian project is falling apart without your files. My files? Marcus, I thought you fired me so I could focus on being a housewife. Why would a housewife have architectural files? The silence stretched between us. I could practically hear him grinding his teeth. Look, Sarah, maybe I was hasty yesterday. Maybe we can work something out. Oh, you were hasty? You fired me on my wedding day via text message. And now you think maybe you were hasty. Sarah, please. We can discuss terms. Terms. I laughed. Marcus, you just destroyed 7 years of my career because you thought it would be funny. You humiliated me on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. And now you want to discuss terms? The firm needs you, Sarah. The firm needed me yesterday too, but you decided I was expendable. I hung up on him and turned my phone off for the rest of the day. By Monday morning, the situation had escalated. David and I were having breakfast at a coffee shop in Soho. When Marcus himself showed up, he looked terrible. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his expensive suit wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. Sarah, we need to talk. We're on our honeymoon, Marcus. Go away. He sat down at our table anyway, ignoring David's hostile stare. The city is shutting down the Meridian project today, unless we can provide your foundation calculations. Pacific Development is threatening to sue us for breach of contract. I stirred sugar into my coffee. That's unfortunate. Sarah, I'll double your salary, triple it. Just come back and fix this. You think this is about money? Then what is it about? I set down my coffee cup and looked him directly in the eyes. It's about respect, Marcus. It's about the fact that you treated me like garbage because you thought you could get away with it. I made a mistake. Yes, you did. You made several mistakes, actually. You fired your most valuable employee without cause. You deleted critical project files without backing them up. And most importantly, you forgot that I'm the only person in your firm who understands how to build a skyscraper on top of a subway tunnel without collapsing half of Manhattan. Marcus was sweating now. Name your terms. I smiled. I don't have any terms, Mark. I don't want to work for your family's firm anymore. But the project is no longer my concern. You made sure of that yesterday. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone had logged 47 missed calls from various Wellington and Associates numbers. I was starting to enjoy this. The breakthrough came Wednesday morning. My phone rang at 6 a.m., waking David and me in our hotel room. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. Hello, Miss Mitchell? This is Robert Wellington Sr. I sat up in bed, the big boss himself, Marcus's father and the founder of Wellington and Associates. Mr. Wellington, how can I help you? His voice was gravelly and tired. Miss Mitchell, I just learned about what happened this weekend. I want to apologize personally for my son's behavior. I appreciate that, sir. I also want to offer you your job back, effective immediately, with a 50% salary increase and a promotion to senior partner. I looked at David, who was now fully awake and listening intently. That's very generous, Mr. Wellington. But I'm afraid it's too late. Too late. Miss Mitchell, I don't think you understand. This is the best offer you'll ever receive. You're right, I don't think I understand. Let me ask you something, Mr. Wellington. If your son can fire me on a whim, what's to stop him from doing it again next month? Or next year? Marcus has been reprimanded. This won't happen again. Reprimanded? He cost your firm its biggest contract and nearly destroyed relationships with your most important clients. He humiliated a 7-year veteran employee on her wedding day for no reason other than his own amusement. And you reprimanded him. There was a long pause. What do you want, Miss Mitchell? I want Marcus removed from the company entirely. I want a written guarantee that he has no authority over any personnel decisions. I want a formal apology published in the architectural trade journals. And I want partnership equity, not just a senior partner title. That's substantial. So is the mess your son created. Another pause. I'll need time to consider this. Take all the time you need, Mr. Wellington. But remember, every day you wait, the Meridian project falls further behind schedule. I hung up and looked at David, who was staring at me with a mixture of awe and concern. Sarah, are you sure about this? You're basically declaring war on one of the biggest architecture firms in the city. David, they declared war on me first. I'm just fighting back. The calls intensified over the next 2 days, not just from Wellington and Associates, but from Pacific Development, from the city planning office, from contractors who were losing money on the delayed project. The ripple effects of Marcus's impulsive decision were spreading throughout the New York construction industry. On Friday, exactly 1 week after my wedding, Robert Wellington Sr. called again. Miss Mitchell, I'm prepared to meet your terms. All of them? Marcus will be removed from the company. You'll receive a 15% equity stake and full authority over personnel decisions in your department. The apology will be published. I smiled. And my salary? Double your previous rate, plus profit sharing. When do you need me to start? Immediately. We've already lost a week. I'll be there Monday morning. Saturday evening, David and I were having dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Marcus. You won. I hope you're happy. I'm being forced out of my own family's company because of you. I showed the text to David, who shook his head. He still doesn't get it, does he? No, I said, deleting the message without responding. He doesn't. Monday morning arrived crisp and clear. I walked into the Wellington and Associates office building on Park Avenue, wearing a new black power suit and carrying a leather briefcase. The autumn sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the marble lobby. Tom Bradley was waiting for me at the elevator. Sarah, thank God you're back. The Pacific Development people are flying in this afternoon, and the city inspector wants to meet with you tomorrow. That's fine, Tom. But first, I want to see my new office. My new office turned out to be corner suite on the 42nd floor, with views of both Central Park and the Hudson River. Marcus's old office, actually. The nameplate on the door had already been changed to read Sarah Mitchell, Senior Partner. I spent the morning reviewing the Meridian Tower project files. As I had suspected, the backups were incomplete, and several critical calculations were missing. Without my original research on the soil composition and subway tunnel proximity, the project would have been impossible to complete safely. At 2 p.m., the Pacific Development delegation arrived. James Chen led the group, accompanied by 3 other executives and 2 lawyers. Sarah, James said, shaking my hand warmly. Congratulations on your promotion. I have to say, I'm relieved you're back on the project. Thank you, Mr. Chen. I'm confident we can get the Meridian Tower back on schedule. How long will it take to regenerate the missing calculation? I had already been working on this question. 6 weeks for the complete structural analysis, but I can provide preliminary specs within 2 weeks, so construction can resume. Excellent. And Sarah, in the future, if you ever decide to start your own firm, I hope you'll consider Pacific Development as your first client. I smiled. I'll keep that in mind. The meeting lasted 3 hours, but by the end, we had a revised timeline and a renewed commitment from all parties. The Meridian Tower project was saved. As the Pacific Development team left, Robert Wellington Sr. appeared in my office doorway. He looked older than I remembered, with deep lines around his eyes and gray stubble on his chin. Miss Mitchell, may I have a word? Of course, Mr. Wellington. He closed the door and sat down across from my desk. I want you to know that what my son did was inexcusable. I built this company over 40 years, and I won't let one person's poor judgment destroy it. I appreciate that, sir. I also want you to know that Marcus won't be returning to the firm, ever. I nodded. Where will he go? That's his problem to figure out. He's 30 years old and has never had to face real consequences for his actions. Maybe this will teach him something. We sat in silence for a moment, watching the traffic crawl along Park Avenue far below. Miss Mitchell, can I ask you something? Yes, sir. When Marcus fired you, did you plan all of this? The missing files, the project crisis, everything? I considered the question carefully. No, Miss Wellington. I didn't plan any of it. But when your son handed me the opportunity for justice, I took it. He smiled for the first time since I had known him. You remind me of myself at your age, hungry and smart, and not willing to be pushed around. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. You've got 6 weeks to save a $200 million project. If you succeed, you'll be one of the youngest partners in the company's history. If you fail, I won't fail. No, he said, standing up to leave. I don't think you will. Over the next month, I worked 16-hour days to rebuild the Meridian Tower specifications. I brought in soil experts, structural engineers, and subway system consultants. I flew to similar projects in Chicago and Los Angeles to study their solution. I turned my corner office into a war room, with blueprints covering every wall and scale models covering every surface. David barely saw me during this time, but he understood. This wasn't just about saving a building project. This was about proving that I belonged at the top of my profession. The breakthrough came on a Thursday evening in late November. I was alone in the office, working by the light of my desk lamp, when I finally solved the last piece of the foundation puzzle. The solution required an innovative combination of caisson piles and matte foundation that would distribute the building's weight while avoiding interference with the subway tunnels below. I called James Chen immediately. Sarah, it's almost midnight. I know, but I've got it. The complete structural solution. We can break ground next Monday. Are you serious? Dead serious. The plans are perfect. Sarah, you just saved our company about $50 million in delay penalties. Just doing my job, Mr. Chen. No, you're doing a lot more than your job. I meant what I said before. If you ever want to start your own firm, we'll be your first client. After I hung up, I sat alone in my office, looking out at the Manhattan skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars, and I could see the Empire State Building glowing purple in the distance. For the first time in 6 weeks, I allowed myself to feel proud of what I had accomplished. My phone buzzed with a text message. For a moment, I thought it might be Marcus again, but it was from David. Saw the office lights from the street, coming up with pizza and champagne. Time to celebrate, Mrs. Mitchell. I smiled and started gathering up the blueprints. Tomorrow, the construction crews would break ground on the Meridian Tower. In 18 months, when the building was completed, it would stand as a testament to what could be accomplished through talent, determination, and refusing to be pushed around. But tonight, I was going to celebrate with my husband and remember that the best revenge isn't just success. It's success that comes from staying true to your principles even when others try to tear you down. 6 months later, Marcus Wellington III was working as a junior associate at a small firm in New Jersey, making less than I had been making as his employee. According to the industry gossip, he had been blacklisted from every major architecture firm in New York after word spread about how he had nearly destroyed his family's company. As for me, I was promoted to executive partner and given oversight of all major commercial projects. The Meridian Tower became the crown jewel of my portfolio, featured on the cover of Architectural Digest and winning 3 industry awards. And every morning when I walked into my corner office, I looked at the framed photo on my desk, a picture from my wedding day, taken just moments before Marcus's text arrived. In the photo, I'm smiling and holding my bouquet, completely unaware that my life is about to change forever. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives turn out to be the doorways to our greatest triumphs. All it takes is the courage to walk through them. If this story moved you, reminded you of your own struggles, or inspired you to stand up for yourself, I want you to know that you're not alone in this journey. Share your own story in the comments below. Tell us about a time when someone tried to tear you down, but you fought back stronger than ever. Hit that like button if you believe that justice always finds a way, and subscribe to hear more stories of people who refused to give up when the odds were stacked against them. Your story matters, and together we can prove that no one has the right to diminish your worth or your